Okay, so today we're gonna have a little fun. We're gonna make these little Christmas tree wooden ornaments that you're probably seeing all over the place right now. I know this is a fad, it seems like, and you're probably seeing them everywhere on Etsy, etc. So my wife asked if I can make a couple for her. She really likes them. So we're gonna make an attempt at making these. I'm gonna video the process. So first thing I did, I'm gonna make two of them right now. They're gonna be smaller indoor tree stands, we'll call them, and these are going to be made of white oak, of small white oak slats I had from the past, from previous projects. So this is going to be all made with scrap wood that I've kind of laying around. And the white oak is beautiful, and it has a little whitewash stain on some of them. You'll see if you look close, which even makes it even look cooler. So first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna make two of these trees. So the first one's gonna be it's gonna be a little taller than the other one, and the first one we're gonna cut the slats at 9 inches each, besides the right hand piece that goes in the top. That will be a little shorter, and the angles are going to be 45 degrees up on top, the top two pieces where the point meets, and the piece on the right will be a little shorter, about 2 inches shorter, since it's going to go into the left hand piece there, as you see, as we laid out. And the bottom pieces we're going to cut at 20-degree angles. Now you can do different degrees here depending on the height of your tray, but these are going to be a little shorter, so these are going to be 20 degrees for the taller one, which comes out to just under 3 feet. And the smaller one is going to be actually 70-degree angle on the bottom two pieces. And they're going to be 6 inches long each, the small tree we're going to make in a couple minutes. So we're going to cut everything up now. We're going to really put the bigger tree, we're going to install that first. And we're just going to use some glue and brad nails. Keep it simple. Put it on a base. And we're going to just lay out our angles and also the overhang. You could cut those angles also at a 20-degree angle or 17-degree angle. But you don't have to. Um, I think it looks a little nicer, but you don't have to do that. And these ones, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to kind of lay these out, as you can see here, and keep them simple. Something you can whip up in a couple minutes. The only thing with these, you got to be a little careful with these cuts because you're cutting miters. Unless you do a bevel cut, but either way, they're still a little scary at times because you're cutting smaller pieces. The bigger tree will be a little easier since they're bigger pieces, but these are small diameter and also in length. So just be careful making these cuts. So we're going to lay everything out. It's all just going to eye these up. I'm not going to overthink it. Just going to lay these out. This is going to be the little base we're going to put them on. And you can put them flush or you can just lay them on as a base. That doesn't really matter. And we're going to just lay them on with like an inch overhang for the bottom. So that's what we're going to do here. And like I said, you can make these any way you like. I don't think there's any rules. And I don't know. Hopefully they come out okay. I mean, they're not going to be perfect, but there's something I'm just going to whip up real quick. I'm just going to video the process and give you an idea how fast you could do these. I probably built these maybe an hour. I took in my day and hit some scrap lumber. Some of the things I'm going to do here you don't need to do. Like I'm going to run some of the wood through the planer later. You do not need to do that. I just did it because it was a little thicker than I wanted. From the I'm sorry, the width was a little wider than I wanted, so I make them a little thinner to fit the base a little easier. Since I'm using all scrap wood, I'm not using a table saw for this project. You could. I'm not using a jointers. We're going to sand a little bit and use brad nails. You can put screws into, I guess, if you really wanted to, but we're just going to brad nail and glue these and just make it real simple. Keep it easy, and just whip these up real quick. And this is a smaller tree, and this is a little more a little scarier. These cuts are a little sketchy. I probably could have used the table saw and did these miter cuts, but that's probably even just as sketchy. So it's just they're such small pieces. You could clamp down to your saw, uh, I guess. So look, there was a 17-degree angle there that we're cutting, and that's about it. So we're just going to cut these up and we're going to lay them out and glue, brad nail them together. Let's go. Okay, some of these steps are optional. You do not need a router or a planer for this. I just want to set these up a little bit, soft the edges a little bit, and also just the width was a little wide for the top slats for the base, so I just want to uh, lessen that a little bit. That's why I ran to the planer, but you do not need a planer or a router for this. You can even soften the edges with with sandpaper. So technically, the only thing you really need for this project is, nails. A brad nail would obviously make it a lot easier. Glue and a miter saw or a circular saw. Technically, to do this project, I need some hand sandpaper if really need, which I will use in this project. I'll use a lot of hand sandpaper just to get these little corners that the detail sander couldn't get into. So I have some of these tools I use, but you don't need all this stuff. So just to this is all optional. And I'm not trying to make these look really nice, but I just want to soften the edges a little bit. That's all. What reason I'm doing this, and I'm going to sand them a little bit too. I don't want to sand too much because I like that whitewash stain I have on some of these, even though it's streaky, but it looks really good and it kind of gives it a real white look, especially indoors. So now we're going to install this. We're just going to use some glue and brad nails. It's going to lay this out. We're going to eye it out as best as possible and trust the measurements. We're going to have, if you look at the overhang on each slat, it's going to be about 2 inches overhang. You could make this whatever you like, but I'm going to use like a 2 inch overhang, and I'm going to use like a little speed ruler here, uh, combo square to verify that. In a couple minutes you'll see. So that's all we're doing here. We're just going to lay this out. We're going to brad nail the base down to the bottom slats, and then we're just going to lay the rest out, kind of eye it out, and just try to get a nice dimensioned tree set up here. And we're going to repeat the step for the other one. So you can see here we're going to use a combination square, as you see. And that's just going to make sure that my overhang is consistent all the way up, all the way up the tree. And that's all we're doing. This. I guess you don't have to do this. It just makes it look a little cleaner. And like I said, these overhangs, you can also cut these at angles if you really want. I did them for this one, but maybe for next ones I do, maybe I will do that, or it's just an option. But it's just more cuts on your miter saw. It doesn't really take away time. Um, so that's it. We're just going to put this together. The top is the trickiest part because you want to get that angle perfect. And the 45-degree on the right hand side should go into underneath the 45-degree on the top slat on the left hand side. And we're just going to lay this out. I'm going to cut this one more time possibly just to make sure it's a 2 inch overhang. But you don't have to. Okay, so we're going to repeat the steps for the smaller tree here. We're just going to put this together, following the same steps. We're just going to lay out our base here, where we're going to be putting the bottom slats at our 17-degree angle. Now, the bottom base here, if you look at the edges, I cut them at a 45-degree angle. You could also cut these at the same angle as the bottom slats that you're attaching if you really want to lay them out. But these are more of a base. They're not really part of the tree, per se. So I didn't care as much. They're a little wider or longer than the tree itself. So I cut them at a 45-degree angle, and just to get a little fancy and chamfer the edges. And we're going to do a little sanding here to clean up the edges that we can't get with our detail sander, and obviously our orbital sander. So we're just going to use some hand sandpaper and get some of this glue squeeze out and soften these edges a little bit that we can't get with the sander. So that's about it. We're going to keep it nice and simple. These are cool little um, ideas. I didn't invent this. I copy other people. I haven't looked on YouTube yet to see if the people have these up video. So I'm sure there's going to be probably a lot of them possibly. These are cool little crafts. You can sell these at craft shows. You can sell these on Etsy. They came out pretty cool. They're not the nicest trees in the world. I'm sure there's going to be nice ones out there. But this I whipped up in an hour in my afternoon in between projects, and these sell pretty good if you decide to sell them. But I'm not doing that. I'm just making these for my wife. But people are selling these things. You go add lights to them, and that's about it. Thanks for watching.